If you've watched the last few episodes, you'll know we're not only on the northeast coast, but we're on a mission to get to the Scottish border before the end of the day. A dreadful weather forecast has meant we've had to rethink our plans and do this whole section that we started at Skegness back in episode 29 in just 2 days. This is our second day and it's getting late. You join us at Warkworth. Warkworth. Never heard of it.
No.
And yet look at it.
Warkworth Castle, it said. Look at all those daffodils. Oh, that's stunning.
Warkworth is a little place, but boasts a beautiful 12th century church, magnificent medieval castle and interesting streets, giving space to artisan shops, inns, restaurants and galleries. The village is positioned on an elevated rocky spur encircled by the river Coquette. Being only 40 miles from the Scottish border, Warkworth has had its fair share of trouble from invading Scots. The church was built to provide a safe refuge, as well as a place of worship, but in 1174 it was the scene of a massacre when about 300 people were killed during a Scottish raid led by Duncan, Earl of Fife. During the Anglo-Scottish Wars of the late 13th and early 14th centuries, the castle was besieged by the Scots twice, but its ideal defensive location and recently strengthened garrison, funded by the English King Edward II, meant these were unsuccessful. As you can imagine, there is loads of fascinating history associated with this castle. It has passed through the hands of many kings, nobles, earls and dukes, and was the location of many conflicts. In the 14th century, Henry de Percy, 2nd Baron Percy from Northumberland's most powerful family dynasty, was granted inheritance of the castle. And since that time, the castle has been in the hands of the Percy family and is currently owned by the 12th Duke of Northumberland. English Heritage acts as the castle's custodians. Warkworth Hermitage is a chapel and priest's house, built on and in the cliff face on the bank on the river Coquette, close to the castle. It was built as a chantry and used by a series of clergy from 1489 to 1536. English Heritage provide access via a ferry.
Garden Terrace it's called.
Yeah. Apart from the route plan, we don't tend to do much research about the places beforehand. It would be just too time consuming and difficult for us to remind ourselves of the information while on the trip. Consequently, we often completely forget about the routes and places, so it feels like we're on a mystery tour. At the end of the last episode, we discovered the delightful village of Amble. Not long afterwards we discovered this place, Alnmouth. It was once quite a significant trading post, but erosion gradually deteriorated the port. The coming of the railways and a great storm in 1806 that also swept away the village church eventually led to Alnmouth's demise as a commercial centre. It reinvented itself as one of the very earliest seaside resorts, but never achieved the success it hoped for. It seems Alnmouth's ambitions were destined not to be fulfilled. But, in our humble opinion, this has worked to its advantage. Today, its lovely blend of natural geography, hints of industrial history and quaint attractions such as the oldest 9-hole golf course in England have created a picture-perfect place. that's what you call a project.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw this little square and thought, wow, what a place to live. Got the green, haven't you?
Yeah, that's
What
lovely.
an absolutely amazing view. Let's just pretend we lived in one of these humble little bungalows up here. No,
Yeah. And that was your view.
And that was your view. Yeah. Oh, there's a bus stop. No,
The bus was reversing.
Yeah, that's back into it.
Incredible. Probably get a bus once a week.
Yeah, jolly fisherman. What does it say about try our famous scrap crab sandwiches?
Oh,
Fish and chips.
me.
Oh yeah, lovely sea mist sat there. Castle like that. Well, there must have been the castle we had signposts for before that we didn't see when we got there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
how's that curb?
There's no curb.
Okay.
Oh, little curb. Little, you're not nowhere near it. Maybe about now.
I think I'll go now. Lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. Quick look-see and then crack on. Well, let's just hope the tides are good for the Holy Island.
Father, there's a wreck, the storm too wild to check. And there began the light in the lighthouse, a woman who cares. There began my heroine, the girl with the windswept hair. I've heard legends of the sea, and I've heard stories hard to believe. But when paintings depict and legends portray, and poetry plays its tale, I persistently agree that humanity and bravery will prevail. I've known hope to disappear, unsinkable ships to fall away, but there remain those who fight for the waves to not become an early grave. The girl with the windswept hair, legend like no other, upon the dauntless rocks of Longstone. Storms look different to the sailors than they do to those who are safe, but even when she looked from her window, she didn't wait for the inevitable fate. Father, there's a wreck, the storm too wild to check, and there began the light in the lighthouse, a woman who cares. There began my heroine, the girl with the windswept hair. I've never lived on a small island where you are cut off by storms and seas from humanity. But the Farne Islands are rocks that are battered every day. Even in the silence, the sea tends to have its way. I've never known survival to be an everyday fight. I've been grateful for the seashore, but not the wild sea at night. I've never dreamed of being in a lighthouse to watch a wreck from my window, but I hope that among the shadows I wouldn't sail away.
Dear Diary, 7th September 1838. The storms raged all night, and my window is only just becoming a stained glass glory of morning light. I would wish for silence, but then I'd miss the sea. I'd miss the birds, the unflinching rocks, the fight to somehow believe we're not alone on Longstone. We're not alone. Cracks in the sky, the lightning cries, illuminating a child's cry. Then nothing. I desperately look into a glimpse of the sunrise, the panes breaking my view like bars. But then thunder rolls in, lightning kicks in, and I see a ship at the mercy of the waves. The rocks silent as they cut away, and the storm looks on and laughs. From the light a woman runs, dressed sodden, nearly drowning. I could see her face as if on my window, wet from salty tears or salty sea. What did it matter? She needed me. Father, there's a wreck, the storm too wild to check. I imagine them calling on their angels, sending up their prayers, waiting upon the rocks death had visited nightly unawares. Children saying, Mother, I'm scared. When I was a child, I was scared of the night. I'd never see myself in a rowing boat just at early light. The Forfarshire might fight, but it's already split in half, as if the rocks had a right to take the ship apart. Only a little while longer, and they'll be all right. I prayed and prayed as we pulled our way towards them. I prayed there'd be life left, oh God, spare them. I watched them step away, life lost, but life saved. We come home to lonely Longstone at long last. I give her my handkerchief as she cried out her heart, children lost, ship broken apart. Salty tears, but she says she prayed for an angel. I'll never forget watching you break through the sea, to rescue us, to rescue me. Dear Diary, October 1842. I'll die soon. But here in the comfort of what they say is the product of my bravery, a legacy. I can't but remember that night. Perhaps death remains no different here in comfort or storms at night. I've been given so much, they call me a legend, but what would they have had me do? Life is too important and heaven too secure to not risk my life in godly pursuit. I was nothing but a mere recruit. And so, back to me. As I said, I've never really seen a storm, and I've never seen a shipwreck. Least of all, I haven't saved people from waves and risked my own neck. But I hope I would have done the same, for humanity remains as a living reflection of a God who saves. Sometimes it's quicker to heaven, sometimes angels appear, but startling though it may seem, of death I have no fear. So here's to Grace Darling, and her legacy to have a care. Here's to the girl with windswept hair.
In next week's episode we get to Lindisfarne, but join us to see what happens when we try to get back to the mainland.